Okay, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. Appreciate you guys clicking on the video. Captain Cody Davis here with you guys again for another one. And unfortunately, we are not going to be fishing in this video like I intended on doing earlier in the week, because I don't know if you guys can tell, it is absolutely miserable outside down here. I know it's miserable throughout the rest of the country. I shouldn't say that. It's actually miserable throughout the rest of the country. Here, it's just nasty and horrible fishing conditions when you're talking about fishing on Lake Okeechobee, or really just in Florida for that matter. I'd say it all the time. Post-frontal high pressure conditions for Lake Okeechobee bass is awful, but at least during those conditions and during that time frame, you have that bright bluebird sky and that bright sun shining on the water all throughout the day, which prevents it from like plummeting to like no man's land, which is the complete opposite of what we're dealing with now. Not only is it 52 degrees and at middle of the day, which is crazy, but we have not seen the sun in like 7 days, and that's not an exaggeration. So there's nothing from keeping that water temp from just downright plummeting. And I haven't been out on the lake now in like 5 or 6 days, but I guarantee you that water temp probably or maybe starts with a 4. All right, it's probably in the high 40s, if not the very low 50s, which is going to do a good job of killing off a lot of the exotics and the invasive species maybe in the lake. But either way, it's going to make it very tough for bass fishing. So with that being said, I had a few trips lined up, but I actually was able to move some of my customers to some later dates, just because it's just not going to be fun out there. Now, with that being said, tomorrow I am off, move that customer as well, but we are going to see that water, the conditions are going to change. We're going to start seeing the sun, the air temp's going to start rising, the wind's going to start laying down, and that water temp's just going to gradually raise up. And then it's supposed to just get hotter and hotter each day going into next week. And I really think next week is going to be bonkers out there. I've got some trips lined up. I've got an off day to myself. Super excited. So you guys stay tuned for that. But in an effort just to salvage today, I'm going to let you guys in on like a little tip, a little secret, something that I've been doing to produce some bites. I've had some really big fish caught doing this really somewhat recently. And I don't know, I guess I'll show it to you guys. So we're going to go get in the garage where it's a little bit warmer, and I'll walk you guys kind of through this little technique here. All right, made it into the shop here, and it is not any warmer in here than it was out there, but we're going to roll with it. I've been doing a little bit of reorganizing in here over the last couple of days, but after looking through this camera screen here, I believe I need to work in a little bit of some new lighting. I'm going to continue to shoot content in here, which I plan on doing. And I got to do something about this echo, but if you guys can bear with me, that'd be awesome. But you guys know that I love throwing a swim jig out here on Lake Okeechobee. I feel like I used to use it a lot more than I do now. And that's mainly just because of the way the lake has set up over the last couple of years. It just hasn't really been a real consistent swim jig bite, aside from like throwing a white one on the outside edge during the shad spawn in the summertime. But I believe with the water level dropping as much as it is right now, I think this spring is going to set up perfect to catch a lot of really big fish on a swim jig. And I'm definitely looking forward to that. But this little tip I'm going to give you is something that's a little bit different, something you can do that's a little different. And you can utilize right now during these cold weather months and these cold weather conditions that can kind of, maybe get you an extra bite or two. It's definitely been working here and there for me. Been trying to keep it a little hush-hush, but what the hell, I'm going to show it to you guys. So what we're going to do, if I'm being truthfully honest, I had to reshoot this. I grabbed stuff off the pegboard, but I realized I didn't have everything I needed in here, so I had to run out to the boat. But we'll just go with it here. So you guys know the only swim jig I throw is the 1/2 ounce Dirty Jigs No Jack swim jig. It's the only swim jig I've ever thrown. I buy them in either like black and purple or black and blue. And then I throw it in, I don't even exactly remember what shad pattern I throw. I think it's tactical shad. With the tactical shad, I just open it up, throw it on the, on my rod and put a little easy on the back and let it roll. But with these darker colored swim jigs, I take this skirt. Not that there's anything wrong with this skirt at all, but I take it and rip it off. And what I've got here, this is a Star Flash skirt. Gambler offers them. I throw it in either a June bug, or this one's actually black and with gold flake in here. All right, pretty cool. And I put that on. And really the only difference is it's got a sprayed laminate inside the skirt. Whoa, it didn't go on. These are probably waterlogged, but it's got a sprayed laminate in there. This lighting is absolutely horrible. There you go, you can see it. And it has rounded strands. So what that does is it gives it a little bit more bulk. It gives it more of like that brim round profile in the water. And you don't have to deal with these kind of sticking to your trailer when you're retrieving the bait. They stayed flared out like that. It gives it a bigger profile, and I like that. And then I just throw whatever I'm throwing on the back of there and throw it out and reel it in. But in this scenario, we're going to do something a little bit different. So what I'll do is I still throw the same jig. I really like this because it's got that massive thick gauge hook on there. And what I'm going to do is I kind of take some of these skirts or these strands and I'll just pull them out. I really try to thin this out fairly decent. I'm not sure exactly how many you can play with it, but I'll rip them out so it's just not as bulky, all right? And I'll pull them out for, I don't know, a few minutes. You guys get the idea. I just did that backwards and it just wrecked this skirt. That kind of looks like junk, but either way, you guys get the idea. So I'll just rip out, you know, a third of the strands out of the skirt. Then what I do is I've been folding these back and I'll take my scissors and I'll cut that skirt to right behind the base of the hook like that. So it's really, this is kind of a bad example, but I'm not going out to get another skirt to redo it. All right, so it's just very faint, okay? And I'll end up pulling some of these up a little bit so that they lay a little flatter on the bait. Kind of like so. I'll trim a few of these. All right, so there's just not as many tassels back there. It's just kind of a thinned out skirt. And then what I've been doing is I've been taking a 4-inch NLBN K-tail, actually in this color, matching it up to the black and blue, or the dark silhouetted color. Just kind of putting a two-tone in there. And you're just going to rig this guy on like so. This bait is meant to be rigged on a wide gap hook, but it does sit on this swim jig perfectly because it's got a really, really hard plastic nose. Let it thread her on there, all right? And what you're left with, I think I trimmed these a little bit. No, that's about perfect right there. It's about right where you want it to look like. I want these just to where, obviously you can see that that profile is flared out and these are not touching the plastic. That's actually came out pretty much perfect right there. All right, now here's the deal. This has got a big weed guard on it, so I'll kind of flare it out. I don't typically do that if I'm throwing this like a traditional swim jig, but in this scenario I do. And what I'm actually doing with this is I've been throwing this guy on fluorocarbon as opposed to 65-pound braid like I typically do, throwing it on a little bit different rod and such. And what I'm doing is I'm almost using this like a finesse chatterbait, if you will, or I guess just like a finesse swim jig. But again, we're on Lake Okeechobee, you're catching big fish, and you're around some heavier stuff. So I'm still throwing that no-jack swim jig. And you can do this with braid, but in a lot of the areas I've been catching my fish in, this microphone is bumping into my neck. Fluorocarbon has been getting me a few key bites. So basically what you're doing, and the reason this trailer is so important for this, is this has a very, very natural, very, very subtle swimming action. All right, this doesn't have a big boot tail kick like a Gambler Little Easy, which is what I usually throw, and there's days you want that. And it's not too subtle, almost like a Komodo or a missile spunk shad. It's just got a very natural, subtle kick. And basically what I'm doing is obviously Lake Okeechobee fish is very small, right? There's times where down in South Bay or Tin House Cove or whatever it might be, and there's 20, 30 boats around there. And this time of year, a lot of people are throwing a 1/2-ounce jackhammer chatterbait. Fish feel it coming. They've seen it. They're very pressured by it. And a lot of times we're fishing it, bouncing it off stalks of reeds or just trying to knock it off of anything we can, getting a reaction strike. I've been going around very pressured areas, throwing this guy around and just swimming it like a chatterbait and just trying to make it hit something. Very important. You're swimming it when you do bump something. I'll be kind of snatching the rod and giving it that, kind of a hop off of the sticks or the dead cattails, whatever it might be. Catching a lot of fish on this guy. Again, it's kind of a subtle presentation. It's a little bit more finesse by Lake Okeechobee standards. But the whole key is that trailer, just letting that thing you'll see it when you throw it. It just swims so naturally. It just slowly kicks through the water. And again, it's more subtle. It's not as loud underwater. I've been catching a lot of fish on that. I'm throwing that, again, on 20-pound fluorocarbon. And I would be lying if I'm telling you I'm not just doing it with 65-pound braid as well. But if you're around really pressured fish and you can kind of downsize to fluorocarbon, you will get more bites. And then just a 7-speed reel. And this is actually the rod that I throw my worm on. It's a 7.3 medium heavy fast Senko sticks. This is a BTO. Here's the deal. You want something with a lot of backbone, but you do want that soft tip. When they eat it, continue to reel through the bite and really get all the slack out of that line and set the hook. You could probably get by with a regular swim jig, so you're not trying to drive that really thick gauge hook into the fish. But in the case that I switch over to braid or I am throwing it some thick stuff, I like having that no jack hook. So really reel through the bite and set the hook and then keep the pressure on them. There's absolutely nothing stopping you from throwing this trailer in the thick stuff and swimming it fast like a regular swim jig like you typically would. But this little deal here has been getting me a lot of bites and, I don't know, something a little bit different. If you guys want to try any of these K-tail swim baits stuff, I've been getting a lot of questions on it. You guys can use code TIGHTSPLICE20 at checkout, and they're running a little promotion right now, and that'll save you 20% on your purchase. So the 4-inch is very versatile. It makes a really good chatterbait trailer. You can throw it naked. You can swim it on a swim jig. You can swim it on a chatterbait trailer as well. But super cool bait. Definitely give this a shot. In those high pressure situations, this will get you a few key bites. But other than that, if you guys have any questions or anything else, let me know. If you guys want to book a trip, let me know. If you guys want to try a Senko Sticks rod for yourself, you guys can book a trip with me and you can request what rods you're interested in and go use and abuse mine before you pull the trigger. Or if you just don't want to wait and you want to try one, you can use code, I think it's TIGHTSPLICE at checkout, and that saves you like 10% on a Senko Sticks rod. So best rods I've ever used. Absolutely love them. More impressed with them every day. But I'm going to go get out of the cold and go inside and go eat some warm food. So I'll see you guys on the next one. I appreciate you guys watching. Tight lines and be safe out there.